For 5 straight days in early September, rain poured over northeastern Pennsylvania. What would happen next would leave an indelible mark in the history of our area.
I went onto the Weather Channel website and there was a video of Jim Cantore coming down Warren Street, which is where my mom's house is and where the church is, in a boat. And it's never good when Jim Cantore's in your town in the middle of something.
First reaction when we found out the community was going to be flooded was shock, especially when we knew how much devastation there would be. To walk around town, to walk over to our church, walk through neighborhoods and have things be totally underwater, and then when the water receded to have things totally destroyed was an unnerving experience.
We were at my mother's house that's close to the Presbyterian Church, actually closer to the river. She was 93 at that point. We had the Weather Channel on, and then we switched to the local news. And we talked with Mom and said, Mom, I think you need to pack and come with us. So Mom packed, my wife helped her, and I started moving things out of the cellar, which was a good move on my part as it just kept coming. And filled the house up to the first floor, 2 feet into the first floor.
The one morning we had such a rough morning, and we were trying to get so much stuff moved, and I'm trying to move it with my 14 and my 14-year-old daughter and my 16-year-old niece, and we were exhausted and sitting on the porch just in sheer exhaustion, and someone from, I think it was the Methodist Church, came with a wagon of sandwiches and water, and I just cried. I just burst into tears because I couldn't believe that we didn't even know these people and they brought us water.
My wife was terrific because we generally, both of us were retired at the time, and we liked to just pick up and go. And that changed our life quite a bit, but I realized it wasn't going to be forever. So my wife did her part by pitching in, providing lunches for the workers when they came. And of course, she had a continuous job of keeping my clothes clean because every day I'd come home. In fact, I wouldn't even come home in the clothes that I work in. I'd take a set of clothes to the church, a clean set, change, and then when I came home, I'd throw those dirty, muddy clothes in a muck bucket outside, wash them out, hang them out before she even put them in the washer.
From the very beginning, the Presbytery, both colleagues and members of neighboring congregations were here to help physically. The Presbytery and our general presbyter were instrumental in getting some folks from Presbyterian Disaster Assistance to come and talk to us about what to expect in the rehabilitation process. We were able to receive a $10,000 grant from PDA towards our cleanup, and we also received a Frank Clark grant from the Synod of the Trinity, also, which helped us with the cleanup.
Who needed help? What were the situations out there? And we really looked at a couple of criteria. One of them was, our first criteria was 62 and over. At least one of the residents had to be 62 or over. We also looked at what's called a failed income test from FEMA, which would essentially mean that they were low income. The third thing that we looked for was the amount of damage to the property. So we took those and we started making calls. We made literally hundreds of calls to people who had qualified for FEMA assistance to find out who needed what.
They did marvelous things. They laid the new floor. They made curtains for me, and just met any need that we had. They were here for that.
One of our groups built a workshop for the husband in the basement so that he could work, and he went down to see it the first time and he was in tears. It was better than he had ever imagined. We were able to get them back into their home, and he was able to live there for about 6 months, and then he ultimately died of cancer. But he went telling everyone in town, the Presbyterians put me back into my home, and he just would pray with us every day and was just truly, he just kept telling everyone he was blessed.
The heartfelt aid that was given, because, I mean, also advice on how to deal with things. You know, not only the hands-on things, which is invaluable, you know, but they did great work.
I think part of what we need to do is part of the mission, in addition to the physical aspect of it, it's the connection with the people that were affected by the disasters. And I think that by sitting and listening to them, it's a ministry just to give them an opportunity to say some things, express their appreciation, but it's a way that we share the love of Christ with them by listening.
And reassuring them that there is always hope.